I'm going to share.
Okay.
Really quick. This is TK Chapin and my wife Crystal.
No.
Oh, there we are.
Whoa,
so
it's
weird.
it's not
It's
even
delayed.
live. Yeah, that's weird. Hi, Lane. Hi, Lise.
All right, talk.
We're just trying to get it set up so that the fan page can see it too.
Okay. All right. So first, we're going to talk about how I got started. Hey, Elise. Hey, Lane. All right, we'll wait. We'll wait for more people to join.
No offense to you guys.
How was your day?
This is super awkward.
It's really delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Can we?
Oh,
Dan.
hi, Dad.
Hey, Dan. All right, let's just jump in.
Why? It's
Uh-huh.
all people that
All
we
right,
know.
we'll wait. We'll wait. Thanks, Elaine.
My dad is sitting there laughing at us right now. I know he is.
Yeah. Hmm? Hey, Nina.
Hey, Leanne.
All right, we're going to jump right into this. And parenting. Come on.
Introduce yourself first.
Again? All right.
You didn't introduce yourself.
I'm TK Chapin. This is my wife, Crystal Chapin.
I'm only one person.
That's okay. Oh, there's more. There's another one. There's a heart. Oh, this is weird. All right. So we're going to talk about a little bit about behind the scenes and how I got started. A couple of years ago, I decided to quit my job and went for it, just writing all kinds of fiction and not Christian fiction right away. But eventually, I did find Christian fiction, and that's where I was most comfortable and familiar with because of growing up in the church. And I told my wife, I told her I was just going to quit my job, my 9-to-5 salary job, and
that was hard.
yeah. It was a little rough there at the beginning, but we got through it.
It was a big leap of faith. I grew up with always having, my dad always had like a 9-to-5 job, and I guess he did have a business for a while, but always having a 9-to-5 job and the steadiness of it and knowing that, like the security of having a job. And when he told me he was going to quit to write and hope that it works, it was a huge leap of faith for us, and I just had to say, okay, let's see what happens.
Yep. And some questions we had come in. Where do story ideas come from? Basically, I take a situation I would not want to be in, and I would say, okay, how would a Christian handle this? Or how would a person who's on the brink of faith handle this situation? And I just kind of go from there and let the story develop on its own. And it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks to actually write the story. Otherwise, it'll fade out and wither away. And then, is it true you write about people and things in your life? there's been a couple times that I've used characteristics of people in my stories. If someone upsets me, I might put them in there, and something kind of bad happens to them. But for the most part, I use just little tiny pieces where someone's not going to be like, wait a second, that's me. So that's how that works, at least for
more
me.
Study people rather than...
Yeah, I'm a big observer. At parties, I'm that dude that's kind of off, just hanging out by the punch, watching, or not watching people, that's weird. It's more like I just observe more than I talk. And what am I currently working on? The next book that's coming out is book 2 of my military series. And if you are staying up to date on the books, Because of You was the first one. And this is just a continuation from that. And the connecting theme is military, basically. Alright, so we had a question come in from Aaron and Lizzie.
Her name is Erin Wright now.
Erin Wright. You can go ahead and jump in.
She asked us how we teach our kids or encourage the love of Christ to our kids on a daily basis. And basically, I used to have the Titus verse up, the one that talks about how for girls you teach them how to be kind and basically teach them how to be mothers and homemakers. So I try to involve Emma as much as I can in helping me cook and just being a part of doing chores, making sure her room is clean and stuff. And then for the boys, it talks about in Titus that to teach self-control, and we would have to work on that a lot with the boys, and just basically teaching them self-control and how their actions affect others. And a lot of ours is we do our devotions in front of them, make sure that they're around when we do it, just so they see us in the Bible and they know when, like, what it is and when we're doing it, and we just try to teach them reliance on Him, so that when they pray in every situation. And then you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I want to read a piece of scripture that I like a lot for the topic of parenting, and mostly for myself as a father. And it's in Deuteronomy. And it is chapter 6, verses 5 through 7. And it says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commands that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them," it goes on to verse 8, "tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them to your foreheads." And verse 9, "write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates." So basically, to me, what that's saying is your whole life, everything about your life, not just, on Sunday or, certain parts are okay, but every part of our life is about God in some kind of aspect, whether it's treating customer service reps correctly on the phone, or if we're driving, or if we're just, sitting around and we don't have a lot going on and we're talking about some story from the Bible, or just teaching them to be kind to one another and show Christ's love. And another thing that I do, especially with Isaac, our oldest boy, he has a lot of anger issues, and what I've taught him over time is to pray to God, because He's the one that can actually fix what's wrong inside. Because all I can do is discipline that action that he did, but he can actually talk to God and rely on Him. And we've seen incredible improvements with him in regards to that.
Yeah, we mainly just try to go based on example. We try to, how we treat each other and how we treat the other kids in front of them. There's not a whole lot of, like, preaching per se. It's just, we try to just do it by example, and like I said, just make sure that God is involved in everything when we talk about things.
All right. Any questions? Comments? Does that Hey Colton, how's it going? I saw your comment, Helen. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Woo!
Hey.
We'll just do another one of the...
How do you make time for each other? Elise asked.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you know our life, Elise. Most of our time is spent around each other. But as far as individually, we try to find things that, like, we like all the same shows. So we most of the time we find a show that we like and watch that together, and we play card games.
Yeah.
Most of the time when the kids are during waking hours, though, it's... What did Nina say? What deals with anger?
I'll take a stab at that question Elise asked. So what I have to do, because I could technically just write all day and like just get lost in worlds, but I have to organize my time. You know, first it's God, then it's my wife, and then it's writing. And most of the time I can get my writing done in the morning, and that kind of frees up the later part of the day. But I have to put my wife above any other human being. So anything else going on, if I want to play video games or something and she's not in the mood, I try to make time for her instead of just focusing on myself during that time. And I think that kind of helps when, you know, you have that appreciation.
He does a good job.
And try. Alright, what to...
What did Nina say? Sorry, we're trying to read the comments. No, which ones that makes you society else about? It is the same. A lot of people base their reactions based on their emotions.
Yeah.
And it's hard to take the focus off ourselves, and when your problem gets bigger, then your God gets smaller. So.
Yeah, and you know, we see it in the news every day. People they're angry and they're freaking out because they're letting those emotions dictate their actions. And it just doesn't work.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you. Hey, Aaron, you can go back and watch the recording. We answered your question already. Oh, thank you. I hope she's pretty happy about it. And you know, I love having her Bible handy, Helen. It's pretty awesome because, you know, she highlights verses, and it's almost like, you know, a little more insight into...
Well, when you see the highlighted verses, you can just picture her, how she would just close her eyes and really get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, she was awesome. How do I watch the recording? Once it's over, it'll just automatically become a recording.
Just a video.
Just a video. Aaron. see. We did have another question. Favorite authors. So we'll go ahead and answer that unless somebody else has a question. My personal favorite, I'm not super into fiction, but I do enjoy C.S. Lewis, and he has a book called Mere Christianity that it's a really hard read, but it's really enjoyable, and yeah. And I like a lot of nonfiction books, like, for instance, Stephen King does a on-writing book that I really enjoy. It has some bad language, but it does have a good message in there that teaches anybody that might be interested in learning how to write.
Thanks, Dad. How are your kids being so good while you're doing this? They're upstairs watching a movie that they've never seen before, so.
That's a trick. We can hear them. We have a baby monitor nearby that we can hear if they're getting too wild. Okay, your favorite T.K. Chapin book?
I wrote down the Firefighter series, but then you mentioned Because of You, and I forgot about that one. So I really like Because of You, but the Firefighter series is awesome too. I like the first one, the Amongst the Flames. It's fun because I get to be part of the editing process sometimes. Sometimes he'll have me do a read through and catch things, and so I get to get the sneak preview.
I agree, Helen.
It's kind of sad. It's sad when your books and stuff come out, because whenever he would call her and tell her about something, just her expression would be awesome. Just
about video games, sure. Yeah. I'd be super excited about. I can't imagine actually, writing books and stuff. It's been a blessing. Oh, here's a new question. What do you do when a character is... I like to pace a lot, and I rely on her. When I get stuck in my writing, I'll get up and I'll walk around. That usually doesn't work, so I go and find her, and I start talking and explaining, and it's about a 50-50 split. I either figure out the next step on my own.
Most of the time he's talking and he's asking me questions, but he figures it out on his own anyways.
Yeah, and then a lot of times she will give me more input, like, that sounds kind of weird, or that would never happen, stuff like that. And Miriam Osborne is in the chat. She's also part of the editing process, because basically it's good to have all these eyes on the book before it gets to the editor, the professional editor. And Becky in the TK's Chapin Street team is also somebody who's pretty involved with the pre-editor phase. Yeah, some of those characters can be pretty difficult, and an old technique that I read up somewhere that I used to learn more about the characters that are in the stories is you just interview them, and you just have a blank piece of paper, or I'm using my fingers. That's not really, it's not really how you have a blank piece of paper. I just sit there on a Word document and I ask it questions. It's kind of weird. It's not something you really...
This is something that I've had a hard time getting on board with when he comes and talks to me about his characters like they're real people and they have personalities and things that they like to do.
Yeah, that first book is terrifying, when you're trying to, make it perfect and trying to do your best, and you're just not sure, and it's your first time, and over time it'll get easier. Yeah, let's water break. Thank you, Helen. Appreciate it. You can't talk about yourself. Just talk really. What?
I just said there's nothing else right now.
Yeah, there's nothing else on our paper. We ran out of things.
How do you come up with series ideas?
I don't. I just wing it. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how.
From what
I
I've
come
noticed,
up.
you write the book and then you enjoy the characters and you
That's
enjoy
true.
the story, so you just were like, oh, I'm gonna do another one.
That is true. The Diamond Lake series was from going up to Washington and actually experiencing the awesome Inn at the Lake, and I just loved it so much that I wanted to do a whole series on it, and it was a blast. The new book is coming along good. It should be coming out in August sometime. And right now, If Only is only 99 cents for today. It's the last day of that Amazon promotion. If you're not aware, If Only was the title that got picked up by the publisher Kindle Press. It's an Amazon imprint. Thank you, Sally.
Scenarios with your kids. Oh, what was that one book that
Oh,
you
yes.
wrote in something?
Yes, I think a couple times, and Becky's got after me about it. Like, I feel like the kids were struggling with potty training, and there was some, I don't know how to say that. There was like, I don't know, fart sounds or
Potty
there were
talk.
potty talk type things in one or two of the books. And I do like to bring them in, you know, aspects of the children, aspects of every avenue of life. It's just, you know, it's stealing a whole bunch of everything you already know and putting it together and creating something new.
You did forget one question, Becky's. How often do you learn from your personal devotions?
Oh, we did miss a question. How often do you use what you are learning?
Personally, in your books.
Here, let me reset it. How often do you use what you are learning in your personal devotions inside of the books? I do it all the time. If there's something that's been on my heart or mind, or something that I talked to Crystal about, or with her parents or my parents on the phone, I'll bring that into the story. Probably be good to have an example. But I don't have an example right now. But I grab everything because every day life is different, and you know, what I'm thinking about today and this week is different than the next week or last week. And that's why I feel like God's enabling me to be able to write these stories, because my mind is constantly changing depending on what I'm learning in His Word and what I'm learning in this thing called life too. All right.
Did you? What's next?
I did that. I did what's next.
The second book that you're writing right
Yeah,
now.
the military one.
Okay.
Hmm?
Nothing.
All right. Any more questions? It is getting close to 6:30. We've got about 7 more minutes. If you got a question, we can tackle it. Oh, someone dropped out.
We lost someone.
It doesn't tell us when they leave. I can't do that.
Where we go?
Oh, but you can't get rid of it.
There we go.
There we go.
How'd you get started?
How did I get started? I already covered this earlier, but I'll tell you really quick how how I got started. And you can rewatch from the beginning if you want to know the full details. But what happened was I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I discovered Amazon Kindle. I wrote a book. Self-help books. I tried all this random stuff. Made enough money to quit my job. Took the leap of faith. And then it worked out. We just had to step out in faith, and Crystal struggled with that. And I did too. It was scary, but we got through it. And in May, a little over 2 years ago now, was when I started with Christian fiction. What is your biggest advice for authors wanting to start out? Just get that first draft done. It doesn't matter how ugly it is. Don't show it to anybody, and just get it done as fast as you can. And then it's the second, third, fourth draft that you can really make it shine. But get that first one, just get it done. It's actually true. It's true. It's when I was at the Inn at the Lake, my Aunt Jody actually runs the place, and she showed me these little journals that are left by each bed in the room, and there's little stories in them. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, and speaking of Inn at the Lake, multiple people have come to the inn, and they actually found out about that inn through the books, which is kind of cool.
Someone just last month,
yeah,
Jody called him and was like, "Hey, someone came here because they said they read about it in the book."
And if you're ever in that area, you have to visit it.
Oh.
To Crystal.
What was the first book that ever made me cry? Probably Redeeming Love. That was like the first. Wasn't really a reader in high school, but Redeeming Love is the one that I've read it like 3 times. I love that book. And the Love Comes Softly ones. I love those books. Hey, Joey.
Hey. 4 more minutes.
Best book ever. Still waiting for the movie.
I feel like we saw something about that coming out.
But I feel like I've seen it every year since I started reading it.
Kind of like Toy Story 4. Someone dropped.
Lost someone again. Thanks for the love.
Whoop whoop. You're welcome, Nina. And if you need any help or have any questions, feel free to send me a message on Facebook, and I'll make sure to get back to you.
First.
I don't know how to wrap my brain around Luis's visual. What's that mean?
I would have definitely, instead of going through my rebellious stage,
to set it up to be an author.
What?
Are you an author?
Oh, why not? Whoops, I read that question wrong. I'm not a writer.
A lot of what I did leading up to becoming an author actually has helped me. I've been doing graphic design for over 10 years with Photoshop and stuff like that, and that really saved me hundreds of dollars on book covers and stuff because I make them all myself. And I also did web design in high school, and that's also helped. And I don't think there's anything that I regret that I shouldn't have wasted my time doing, because that would kind of undo
What about the fruit
person.
bouquets?
Huh?
What about the fruit bouquets?
Yeah, I did some business ideas when I was younger that were not good, but they led me here.
Hi, Grace.
Hello, Grace. It's a fun name. I like it.
Do you visualize always being a writer? Do you always want to be a writer? Do you always?
I'd love to always be a writer. I mean, it's almost, once you start writing for a while, it's almost like an outlet, like kind of like working out or doing something like that, and it's a way to work through different issues, and it really stimulates my mind and my heart and my faith. So I don't think I'll ever stop writing. Am I interested in other business ideas? Yeah, I am. But, if it doesn't happen, that's okay too, because I'll write forever.
I know, I'm thinking your biggest struggle is having a husband author.
What? You gotta speak up louder.
I was just talking to myself. I was reading. Saying the question out loud.
Joey had a good question. Were you gonna answer something?
You do yours first, I'll think.
Okay. On your summer travels, did you find inspiration for a new book or series? I figured out I really like California. It was the first time I was down there, and it was awesome. Not really. I wouldn't say that anything was like, oh, I'm writing a book about that. But it was a lot of fun being able to go to California and Texas and
Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada,
all
Colorado,
over the place.
Wyoming.
Yeah, our parents were gracious enough to help us be able to travel this summer, and that was really neat to be able to do that and spend time as a family with family.
Okay, so I can't come up with the downside of him being an author. Because he's home all the time and we like being around each other, so
I'm home all the time.
other than when he gets a little nuts about his characters. But even that, I don't see any downfall to him being an author.
We're best friends, so it's pretty nice to be able to see each other every day, all day. We're blessed.
How long have you been writing? How long have you been married? Kids?
Oh, there we go.
You've been writing for...
I've been writing for...
full-time 2 years in January.
Full-time 2 years in January, and total like 3.5 years, something like that.
We've been married. It'll be...
7 years this December.
in December.
Yep. Kids, we have 2 boys and 1 girl. The 2 boys we have guardianship over them. They're our nephews. And our daughter is from her previous marriage. So.
Was that my dad that said
Hey,
that? Yeah.
Hey, Dad. Thanks for tuning in.
California does need more writers, Dad.
Here we go. Here's another question. Is it hard having him home and he needs to work, but you want more help with kids?
Honestly, no. That's fine, too, because most of the time, like, in the beginning when he first started writing, if one of the kids was being completely ridiculous, they would just go sit in his office with him doing nothing. So that would be their punishment for not getting along with the other ones. And he's really good about if I need help in tuning into that. And
sometimes around deadlines, it gets pretty crazy. Like after I get when I'm working on the revisions of a book, I'll work from like the time I get up till the time I go to bed.
But even
for days
so,
in a row.
If the kids are being too crazy, I know I can go get him and he'll take care of it.
Yeah, for the most part. California needs more writers. Hint, hint. Yeah.
You know we'd be there if we could, Dad. So does Texas. We could we can't summer in Texas.
Yeah, I love California weather. That's what I learned. But it's a little too liberal for my taste. A little bit.
Well, if you're a writer, you don't really have to be part of the community at all. We can just go to the beach and
but
write
we gotta pay taxes there. You self-publish or what? I do both self-publishing and I'm traditionally published with the Amazon imprint Kindle Press. But for the most part, the 20 plus books, so the majority of them are self-published. So does Washington.
Washington needs writers too. Wow, there's a shortage of writers everywhere, babe.
Oh, we went over.
We did, but people are still asking questions.
That's true. Do you see anymore?
And the kids are being crazy, so.
Yeah. I like Washington. It's a nice state. The rolling.
It still gets super cold though, and they still get snow.
They don't get sub-zero temperatures very often.
Yeah, but Cali never gets anything. Neither does Texas.
How is the weather in Alabama right now, Grace? I wonder how.
Love you too. Super cold in Minnesota. Right now it's super cold, Nina? Hot and humid in Alabama. Oh, that's right. It's
the humidity, yeah.
Working on a book now, Joey.
Yep. Is it cold right now in Minnesota, Nina?
Minnesota. I think it's a shortage of Chapins.
It's everywhere. It's an epidemic.
There's a shortage of Chapins everywhere. There's a shortage here in Idaho Falls too.
Ouch. That sounds like we're in the 90s lately in Idaho.
Yeah, we've been uncharacteristically hot for this time.
What's the hardest thing you've had to deal with marriage-wise? I think when two people get together and they're flawed individuals, that first year was the hardest thing we had to deal with.
Well, we both came with baggage. We both had
previous marriages.
Yeah, we both got married when we were young and had previous marriages and had different things from that. And my biggest thing was I didn't like him helping clean the house at all. I would feel super guilty. We fought about that so much. Every time he would try to help me, I'd be like, no, I'll do it. And then he would just want to help me, but that came from my baggage.
Yeah. All right, we already went over, so we'll go ahead and end this.
Anyone has any real quick questions?
Any quick questions about books, faith, marriage, kids?
Parenting struggle. Probably acquiring 2 more children.
Yeah, going from one
self-sufficient
part-time
7-year-old.
Well, it was a part-time child.
Yeah.
That we had.
She went to her dad.
Going from that to 2 and 3-year-old or 1 and 2-year-old.
1 and 2.
They were 1 and 2 at the time, and they had no boundaries. That was difficult, and it was tough to parent through that. But we had a lot of family that was helping us and supporting us through that process. You know, and we started going to church like 3 times a week during that time, and
Free childcare.
Yeah, we just really, and I think the boys, in a sense, to be honest, they helped us walk closer with God, because, you know, every day it was like, I don't know how
we had to rely harder on God, because it was.
Yeah, we didn't have a part-time princess.
We thought that she was perfect, and then we found out that she just didn't have siblings to fight with.
Yeah, and those 2 boys, hardest but most faith-building thing that ever happened to us, for my personal opinion. If you're going through a difficult time or situation, whether it's children or, you know, you gotta rely on the promises that God puts forth in His Word. He promises that He's near the brokenhearted. He promises He'll never leave you nor forsake you. And our job to get those promises, we gotta meet Him there in the Word every day, and truly just, you know, get in a habit of devotions and stuff. And with my vacation that we went on recently, it threw me off the rhythm of devotions. And even though we fall and we fail and we screw it up, we can always get back on the path. And He's like, come here. And He embraces you, and He'll meet you wherever you are in that pain or struggle.
Thanks for the questions, Miriam.
All right. Thanks. God bless you both. Thank you, Grace, for the questions and showing up. Appreciate it.
She is pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Emma's grandpa's princess.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and see you later.